AITAH for not wanting to be friends with my boyfriend's brother. Advice needed. Created a side account just to post this because my Reddit main has my first name attached. I, 20SF, and my boyfriend, 20SM, have been dating for 5 months, and a month or so ago I stayed the night as his for the first time. We live 2 hours apart, and both have busy schedules usually, so we would only go on dates during the daytime. He stayed at my house if he missed the last train. I've been to his house before, and I've briefly met his parents. We both live with our parents. Every time, we're not particularly close but we get along. But, as his younger, teens, brother doesn't live with him, I had never met him before. I'm terribly shy to the point I cry if I have to meet more than one new person at a time. If I have to, I'll just suck it up, but I'm inconsolable after. My doctor basically says I have almost a phobia of meeting people, and my boyfriend warned me his brother is basically an asshole. He insults people, is pushy, and will make it a point to have loud arguments or intercourse with his girlfriend to piss anyone in my boyfriend's room off if they've upset him or his girlfriend. So I politely asked my boyfriend if it would be okay if I met his brother another time. I would even do it the next time I was there, even if it was one of our short dates. My boyfriend agreed and told me he'd relay this to his brother, so I assumed he would. When I got to the house it was like normal. I greeted his parents and we went into my boyfriend's room. Since I hadn't heard any other people in the house, I assumed his brother and girlfriend had decided to skip the visit this time because my boyfriend wouldn't bring me out to meet them properly, but I was wrong. My boyfriend was relaxed until someone knocked incredibly fast and hard on the door. I thought it was his mother and something had happened, but I heard a different voice and realized it was his brother. I just remained seated and let my boyfriend speak to him. His brother wanted to meet me, and my boyfriend turned to me and asked if they could come in and hang out with us. I was obviously confused because he already knew my answer. So I just shook my head no, and my boyfriend relayed it with a sorry attached. However, his brother didn't give up and insisted multiple times he be allowed in to meet me, or that my boyfriend dragged me out to meet him. At one point I started crying and it seemed that is what made my boyfriend remember how I am, so he left the room to speak with them. He returned a bit later, but for the entire weekend his brother and brother's girlfriend repeatedly insisted I meet them and go out with them, to the point I refused to leave the room unless it was to go to the bathroom, the room next to my boyfriend's, and I tried to arrange a ride home but no one wanted to drive that far out, and my boyfriend looked horribly sad when he saw me trying to figure out how much an Uber would cost. So I stayed. I left extremely early in the morning so I wouldn't see his brother and brother's girlfriend on the way out. But they were awake and assumed I was my boyfriend because their door was closed. They yelled out, "Boyfriend's name, your girlfriend's a bitch," and laughed. I cried and went back up to the room and told my boyfriend. He looked uncomfortable and then told me he'd walk me to the bus stop. 2 days after I went home we had a small discussion about how his brother treated me, and my boyfriend explained due to my boyfriend's toxic exes, all very horrible people who I knew before my boyfriend, and can confirm they are toxic. His brother's just overly protective and doesn't understand boundaries, and the insults were just the way they were raised. They don't view calling someone a bitch as an insult when it's someone they consider family. We ended the conversation on the agreement my boyfriend would thoroughly talk to his brother about how he treated me, and that I heard him call me a bitch, and that because he and I weren't close like that it wasn't okay. I thought it was all fine and good until yesterday. Yesterday my boyfriend asked if we could talk, but I'm too busy this week to go out, so we settled for a text conversation. He told me first off that family is really important to him, and I'm his family too. But I've met his parents enough and get along with them, and now he wants me to try and pursue an actual friendship with them so I can be more involved in their family. He used the words, "our family." For context as to what I say next, I agreed I'll make more of an effort, but said I don't want him to call his parents my family. They're not my family. I could tell he got a bit irritated and I apologized, but then he got mad and told me that he also wants me to be friends with his brother. I told him I was fine with meeting him properly, but after being harassed and called a bitch I didn't want to be friends with him. I didn't need to be anyway. My boyfriend insisted we needed to get along, because he wants a future with me and because of how family is important to him and how his brother apologized for the incident to him over text. I should be okay with agreeing to one day be friends with him. I got mad too and said I didn't want to ever be friends with a teenager who calls adult women bitches for not wanting to hang out with him. He got cold and didn't respond to my texts for a few hours. He apologized earlier this morning and said he'd been stressed from the pressure of his family to get me to forgive his brother because it's not a big deal to them, But my boyfriend's been thinking and asking his friends, and they've showed him how big of a deal it actually is. He didn't think it was too horrible before. I apologized for getting rude and we forgave each other. I told this to my friends, but half of them think I'm the asshole for not forgiving his brother because he's young, or that I'm too sensitive. The other half think I'm in the right but could have been nicer about it. So am I the asshole for not wanting to be friends with my boyfriend's brother? If so, if not, how can I approach and fix this situation?